Once again, good morning. I'm Father Scott, and I'm joined by Tracy Carter, our Dean of Community and Wellness, and we want to welcome you to some coffee and conversation with our new families. So thank you for giving us a little bit of your time this morning. Some of you are brand new to TMI, and some of you have a new student at TMI, but you have another student at TMI. So you have a lens of a returning student, yet a new student. So thank you to all of our families for joining us this morning. Our goal this morning is to get to answer any questions you have as we start the school. We're 2 weeks into remote instruction. You submitted some questions in advance. We want to address those and any other questions you may have this morning. And we also want to give you some time to get to know each other because you have a lot in common, whether you realize it or not. But one thing you have in common is that you have a new child at TMI. And so that brings its own challenges and its own questions. And so I'm going to open us with a prayer. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Carter, who's going to tell us how our morning will run. So let us pray. Good and gracious God, thank you for the gift of a new day. Thank you for opportunities to connect, even if it's virtually. Lord, bless our students and our teachers and our families in the midst.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump in here. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Father Scott froze up a little bit. Isn't technology a great thing? Now we understand some of the struggles that everybody has, whether it's our students or our teachers or, everybody's doing the best that they can. So if you can hear me, would you give me a thumbs up? Yes. That's super cool when you can see like all these faces and everybody does that. I'm like, oh, this is good. It's a good day. So thank you again for joining us this morning for a little coffee and conversation. I hope all of you have your favorite, good morning, Kimberly. I hope all of you have your favorite beverage of the morning. I'll let you in on a little secret. I don't drink coffee and I really don't drink tea. So one of the games we could have had was guess what's in Tracy's coffee cup, but I'll just share with you anyway. It's a Diet Coke. We're all, spending tons of hours, whether you work from home or you're helping your children. And so I decided this morning that I would splurge and have Diet Coke instead of my normal water. And I thought it was special. This is my grandmother's coffee cup, teacup that I got when she passed away. And so it's very special to me, just like all of you are very special to our community. And we're going to have a little fun. Okay. Some of you, when people go, let's do an icebreaker, you're like, end meeting. I don't want to do it because I'm right there with you. But this is actually going to be fun. We did this in our one of our faculty meetings last week. And I'm telling you, we had some really good belly laughs. And I think now more than ever, if you can have a really good belly laugh, your day is so much better. So we're going to try to do that a little bit. So what we're going to do is, if you're familiar with Zoom or not, don't worry, there's not much you're going to have to do, but we're going to break out into what I like to call Zoom rooms. They call them breakout rooms, but Zoom room just has such a better sound to it. So we're going to break you out. You don't have to do it. We're going to put about 4 of you in each room. And whoever's birthday is closest to today, that's really your only instruction. You're going to be the one to start, and you're kind of like the leader of your group of 4. And I just want you to get to know each other. My name is so-and-so, whether you want to say what school your kid was at, whether you want to say what you do, it's really open to anything. But then I want you to say, what was the one lifesaver that you had that has gotten you through these last 6 months? And it's really kind of fun. It's a really good way to get to know people. So Stephanie Gish, who's our webmaster, she's up there, if y'all can see her, she's waving. She is going to automatically break you out into rooms. And so once she does that, it'll say, wait for the room to open, and then you'll just pop in. We're gonna set the timer for 5 minutes. And I apologize if y'all know all of this about Zoom, but just in case, we're gonna have you be in those rooms for about 5 minutes. There'll be a little timer that counts down at the end. I think, Stephanie, did we say we're gonna do about like a 60-second countdown for, yeah. So we'll do about 60 seconds. So y'all will just know you gotta wrap it up. And then you can leave the room and pop back in. It's very self-explanatory on your screen. So we're gonna just have a little fun with that. So introduce yourself, get to know someone in your group. And then what was the lifesaver that got you through these last 6 months? And when we come back, we might share a little bit. We might find out what was one of the most interesting things that someone said in your group. And then Scott and I will start answering your questions that you submitted. Also, if you'd like, you have access to the chat button. If you look at the very bottom of your screen, it says chat. You'll have that option to, like if you forgot or you weren't able to ask a question when you registered, you can go in there and just type a question and we'll be able to see that as well. We already have the list of the ones that were pre-submitted. So I would say, are there any questions? If you have a question, would you raise your hand? And I'll just scroll through real quick. If anybody has a question, we're good. Thumbs up, we're good. Awesome. Okay, so Stephanie, I'll let you take it away. And we'll see you in a few minutes.
Welcome back. So technology wins. We are back together in the main room. Congrats on following instructions. So this is what we'll do. You can either wave your hands like this, or if you're a Zoom pro, you can go down to reactions at the bottom and give a thumbs up on your screen. But I want to invite a couple of people to share something they learned about folks in their room. If you want to share something you learned interesting about someone else in your group, then raise your hand. So Ms. Cahoon, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, you know what? I'm not the host. I can't unmute you. Stephanie can unmute you though.
I can, unless you beat me to it and you unmute yourself first.
I'm
Right.
unmuted.
Okay.
I learned that Jorge Rodriguez is he's a 6th grader, and his mother is from Ecuador, and they speak Spanish in the house as their first language. So I thought that was very interesting. I told her that I speak Texan. So that's what I speak. So.
All right. Others, who wants to share with us something you learned in your small group? And Stephanie or Tracy, if you see somebody. Okay, the Blantons, you can unmute yourself, or the race for Stephanie to unmute you.
So good morning. We learned that Flora is stuck in Virginia right now. So with her rising freshman, and she's got a little one as well. So.
Okay,
awesome.
So here's my question though. I want to ask Flora, what was the one lifesaver that got you through COVID or the 6 months?
A Bible verse, and I'll paraphrase it. Sufficient for the day is its own troubles. So I make enough decisions to get me through the day.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well said. All right, others that want to share, one or two more? Something you learned in your group? I just popped around and I learned that Carson's mom is from Chicago and she doesn't like deep dish pizza. That's one of the things I learned.
I see.
Mr. Cavazos.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Brown. And I'm so impressed. I have Bruce Bowen and Michael Jordan on the same Zoom call this morning. I wanted to just say our group was outstanding, and all three of us, it's our first experience at TMI with our children. We have a 6th grader and a 9th grader, and but we already feel the love, Scott, although it's been virtual and we've not spent enough time on campus. We just want to say, as busy as we all have been, and the last 6 months has been a great period to reconnect with our families, is what I gathered, was just that we feel the love already, and the passion for education for our children. And then for us, the last 6 months, it's allowed us to reconnect with our own families and our children's education. So thank you very much.
Great. Great. Well, again, use the chat for any questions you have along the way. We have some submitted questions in advance that I want to address. But before I kind of go through the questions that you submitted, I just want to thank you all again for the trust you have in us. I am the first to admit that institutions like ours are not created to be virtual communities. That's not us at our best. That's not who we were created to be. And so we recognize that. I've yet to talk to a head of school in an independent school, an Episcopal school, a public school. I've yet to talk to an educator who has said to me, we are so good at this remote stuff that we're just going to stick remote forever. So everybody's doing the best they can in the environment that they have. And that's true for us as well. I hope you're getting our weekly now updates. I'll have another video update this Friday, and then I'm committed to weekly updates as we get closer and closer to returning back to campus. This is the end of week 2 of virtual remote instruction. I hope your sons and daughters are getting in a rhythm. Today's Wednesday, so it's a little bit calmer day. We have Wednesdays in there, and we'll talk a little bit more about Wednesdays. Wednesdays are our nod to the reality that 7.5 hours of Zoom Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is plenty. I do have a little bit of a beef with my own sons. I have 2 sons at TMI. My 15-year-old made the comment to me, I put this on social media, he made the comment to me the other day that I, as the head of school, should not expect him to spend 7 45-minute classes in front of the computer. And I asked him how that was different than the 14 hours a day he spent in front of the computer all summer playing Fortnite. And when I asked him to get off at 2 in the morning, how that was the most cruel thing I could ever ask him to do. Yet somehow 7 45-minute instructions is very difficult for him. But in all honesty, we recognize that there is Zoom fatigue, and Wednesday is a day to breathe a little bit. We have chapel at 9:40 this morning. They have advisory. We've upped the advisory, which is your child's small group. We've upped the frequency of advisory. And really that's a nod to our new families and an attempt to build community quickly, because when your students come back to campus, hopefully they have at least a small group of folks that they feel very close to because they've been meeting daily in advisory. So the weekly updates are coming out each week with timelines. We have faculty coming back next week, and we have students coming back in small groups the week of the 14th, and then the hybrid model starts the 21st. Much more on that in the days to come. If you're confused about our schedule, obviously I'm happy to talk about that on this call or offline. So unless Tracy or Stephanie has anything else, I'm gonna jump right into some of the questions that you posed this morning. We ready? Okay, so I'm just gonna click down the list and then I'll call on Tracy to add in some areas that are in her responsibility and service to the community. One question is around middle school sports, and specifically, is there 6th grade tennis at TMI? So let me answer that question kind of macro first. From a sports perspective, we did make the tough announcement last week that we're not having fall contact sports. So contact sports are football and cheerleading. We just couldn't get to a place where the risk was sufficient for us to take that risk. We just couldn't get there. I couldn't get to a place where students are tackling each other, bleeding on each other, breathing on each other in small piles, and then going back to class. I couldn't get there. I will say that there are schools in the San Antonio area who continue to say that they're playing football, but San Antonio ISD just announced today that their football athletes don't start till October. I'm not wishing any school to have struggles with athletics, but football was just a place I couldn't get there on the risk. We are in TAPS. So by starting on September 8th, which is when we would have started, September 25th would have been our first football game. That would have left us with 4 football games. 2 of the 4 schools we were scheduled to play have also canceled their football season. So when you look at putting kids in pads on September the 8th, the risk that it opens us up to for the whole community, and only 2 football games on our schedule, we just couldn't get there. However, every other sport, we're confident that we can get there. Even gym sports, even volleyball. We're off and running next week with volleyball. Basketball in the winter. We will have some provisions around fans and masks, etc., social distancing, cleaning procedures, etc. But the only sports that are not going to be played this year are football and cheer competition in the fall. So tennis, baseball, lacrosse, swimming, basketball, volleyball, golf, all those sports are on, and we will find ways to have competition in them. All of our TAPS opponents are continuing to play as well. As far as 6th grade tennis, we do have middle school tennis teams. We have an A team, a B team, and a C team. And so that gives kids in middle school the opportunity, if they've never played tennis before, they can get out and play. If they're really good and want to compete at the higher level, then even a 6th grader could make the A team. It's an A and a B and a C. And we have matches against several schools in town, and that ends with a district or a league match. It's ISAL for middle school. So that's my answer to middle school sports, and I can answer more. Again, add to the chat if you have more questions about that or anything else. How will distance learning look for families who choose to continue with distance learning even when we're back on campus? So that should be a very easy transition for our faculty. They're all getting trained this week and next week on how to maneuver that. But essentially, our faculty will have students in the classroom when we return and students virtually. We'll be able to navigate that fairly easily. If there's small group work that's happening in the classroom, we'll have some. Well, the group that's remote will be its own small group, and the teacher will be able to put them together virtually, and they can do the same thing that we're doing in person. So it shouldn't be very difficult. I will say about the virtual learning, we will also be recording those classes if a student is absent or is having technical issues. So let's say we're in-person instruction, but you have chosen to keep your child at home and they're not feeling well that day. The teacher will record that class and your son or daughter could go back and watch that later. If they drop off for some kind of technological reason, the teacher will record and be able to send that back to you when your child is feeling better. I think that also answers the connectivity issues that somebody raised. You do have your advisor's email, and if you go to On Campus, you have your teacher's email, and teachers can get email in real time. So if your son or daughter was on a call and it dropped off, they can always reach out to the teacher. And if nothing else works, call the school office. Mrs. Griffin will get you set up and help you out. We're here to serve in that capacity.
Hey, Scott, can I add something to that?
Sure, of course.
Also, because I'm working from home right now, as you can tell, and I'm going to be going back to the office when the faculty does, but even just as a third outlet, I have access to all the teachers' classrooms. So I'm able to send them, hey, Alexis is not in, she got popped out or something. So just as a third option, if you need it, you can send me an email, t.carter, and I'll be able to help you get your child popped back in. I've had some kids do that through On Campus, and I was able to get them back in. So there's a multitude of ways for them. You can email me directly, they can email me, but we definitely want to get them back in class as soon as possible. There's a lot of avenues to do that.
Great. I'm going to answer a core question, then I'm going to set up Mrs. Carter to talk about Wednesdays, because several of you asked, what do Wednesdays look like? Because we've talked about community days and having small groups on campus. Today, we have the Corps of Cadets, juniors and seniors on campus for training. We have been telling you all that we're going to get small groups on campus on Wednesdays starting today. We want to keep the community as safe as we can, but we also want to get kids on campus. We felt like no better place to start getting kids on campus than our Corps of Cadets, our keepers of tradition, often our leaders amongst our leaders. And so the junior and senior Corps members are going to be on campus today to be trained on practices for social distancing, trained on expectations for their classmates once they come back to campus. And then that will be the first group, will then build into larger groups. Over the next 3 weeks, the Corps will continue hopefully to get bigger. Juniors and seniors today, high school by next week, and by the last Wednesday before we return, God willing, all of our cadets back on campus. That will take care of uniform distribution as well for Corps members. So if you have a son or daughter in the Corps and they don't have their uniform yet, no worries, we're aware of that. And starting today, we'll have juniors and seniors, Corps members cadets on campus, and then we'll grow that group over the next 3 weeks. And then I'll let Ms. Carter talk about Wednesdays in general and what we're planning for community days.
As Father Scott mentioned, we all need that break after spending so much time on the computer. And when we built in Wednesdays as community time, our goal was to be able to bring small groups back onto campus. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. I also think, as a licensed counselor, I also think it's very important just to step away and use the other side of our brain. So encouraging your child to go outside and get some exercise, or sit somewhere that's comfortable and listen to their favorite music, or to read a book, or to listen to a book on tape, or to have the Calm app and just really take some time for themselves to step away. I know sometimes that's really hard for our kiddos, getting on a video game. And I had 2 children too. They are, since one's graduated from college and the other one's still in college. But, I understand how hard, just like Father Scott said, it's like, well, you can play 20 hours of a video game, but school is too hard. So everything that you can do to encourage that. And just like when this pandemic started, taking the time, for the little time we have left, to really all be together as a family and being able to spend that time together, even if it's just a dinner at night. So on Wednesdays, we want, like Father Scott said, to bring small groups back. So I'm just going to speak to a couple of grades of things that we already have planned. Next week on Wednesday, we have the 6th graders that have an optional, everything is optional, but if it works into your schedule, we have a opportunity for our 6th graders to come up to campus. There's a sign up, what we call a sign up genius, if you're familiar with that. And you can sign up for a time, and they're going to come up and pick a library book that's part of what they're doing in English, and they're going to check it out. It's also a great opportunity for them to begin to learn what we're all going to need to do when we come back on campus to keep us safe and on campus. The other thing is, as Father Scott said, we have the core coming back onto campus starting today. Next Wednesday, we will have all of the upper school on campus, and the following week, we will have all of the middle school that's in the core on campus to pick up uniforms and begin to learn about the safety associated with being on campus as well. Currently, and if there's any senior parents on here, I know we have some new senior parents, but let's see, today's Wednesday. I should know that. See, my brain needs a break. Starting today, we have the seniors coming on campus. Again, they were able to sign up for a time slot, and they're coming onto campus for any additional help they might need with their college application process, whether they're writing their essays or working on filling out some of their actual applications for different colleges that they're applying to. So, and our college counselors are here with them. We're working on some other opportunities to bring your child back to campus, and that will continue even once we're back in the hybrid method. We're going to have, clubs that want to meet. We're going to have, I have an advisory council, a community and wellness advisory council that students apply to be on, both in the middle school and the upper school. So, I hope to be able to bring us back onto campus. The core has a time slot all the time that is from 2 to 4. And so just to get your mind wrapped around that, if you have a student that's in the Corps of Cadets, that's their time frame that we've marked out for them. So they will get to start their morning with chapel, and then they go to advisory, which is a little more of an extended advisory than they have, say, on Mondays and Fridays. And very soon we'll start our chapel talks, which happens during advisory. And so we're excited for all of your students to be able to hear those messages as well. So that does it for me.
Great. I'm going to address some of the questions that you typed in the chat. Are classes recorded for if my kid's absent? Yes, they are. Someone asked about cheer competition. So Coach Joe still has some of his cheerleaders meeting in his gym as they continue to practice together off campus. And so the cheer schedule, if you're confused about the cheer schedule, talk to Coach Joe, because they're not meeting on campus, but some of them are meeting off campus to continue their workouts and preparation. So some TAPS school are still playing football. The short answer is yes. TAPS, the association we're a part of, is not making a ruling for all schools. We're all across the state of Texas. In San Antonio, there may be some schools in TAPS that are still playing. I know that there are schools outside of San Antonio TAPS that are playing, but some of TAPS is essentially left the decision in the hands of each individual school. And so also TAPS has said that the soonest that athletes can be back on campus for on-campus practice is September the 8th, and the soonest that you can play football is September the 25th. So even if a TAPS school is playing football, the soonest they would play is September 25th, which will leave them 3 games or 4 games, because there's a hard cutoff for the end of the fall season before we go to the winter season. So it'll be a shortened season even if they are playing. Someone asked about soccer. I by all means did not mean to leave out soccer when I was rattling off sports. They're the defending state champs, have won state 3 of the last 4 years. Our winter sports are really strong. Swimming, soccer, men's basketball, all 3 are going to make a deep run, and excited about all of our winter sports. Lands End shirt does not fit. Can I return it even with the TMI logo on it? Yes, you can. Lands End, that's one of the reasons we chose Lands End, is their policy around exchanging uniforms. Very easy to work with. So get in touch with Lands End. You can go to the school Lands End website, and it has instructions for returning your uniforms. When do we anticipate going back to school full time? I'll give you a non-answer. I will tell you that answer on September the 11th. Why then? Because by then I'll have more data. So we start remote a hybrid, some small groups, so about half of the student body on campus, September 21st. That's the current plan. Everything is subject to change. September 21st is hybrid. How long do we stay in hybrid, meaning half of the students on campus? The data I need, one of the pieces of data I need, is how many students are going to choose to be on campus versus families that are choosing to stay home once we're back on campus. Once I know how many students everyone on campus is, then I can reach out to our consulting physicians and tell the community when it's safe for all of our students to be on campus, all meaning all who have chosen to come to campus. So I will have that answer by September the 11th. Families, I've asked you to fill out the form if you are choosing to stay home, even when we come back to campus. And I know that for some of you, you're thinking, man, I just don't know yet. I'd like to know, I'd like to wait till closer till we get back to campus to tell you how comfortable I'm feeling. And I get that as a parent. I've got 3 children, 2 here, I get that. However, we need that information sooner so that we can plan for the whole. So we're gonna give you a reminder email on Monday, and by next Wednesday, we're gonna ask you to make that commitment for the first 3 weeks, September 21st through the end of the first quarter, so that we know how many students would be on campus, and then we can tell everyone when the quote full return to campus will be. Somebody asked about clubs. We have David Griffin is our Director of Auxiliary Program. He right now is working with the student parliament, the student leadership, and they'll be announcing a club chapel and clubs in the next couple of weeks. We normally get a club started about the first week of September, so we're just on track for that. We want students to get involved a little bit more before inviting them to take leadership roles in clubs or join clubs. Who represents the medical advisory board that you're consulting with? We have 2 physicians that we're currently working with, Dr. Linda Cook and Dr. Tricia Hilliard. Dr. Cook and Dr. Hilliard are both pediatricians. Dr. Cook is an epidemiologist. She's also on the county Metro Health board, so she knows what's going on at the county level. So we continue to pay attention to county recommendations and city recommendations. Although as a private school, as a faith-based school, we don't have to follow them, but we should listen to them, and we are listening to them. And we're taking that into consideration. But Dr. Cook and Dr. Hilliard, along with our own school nurse, Stacy Smith, are the 3 consulting medical professionals. And of course, we get solicited and unsolicited advice from a variety of people. We have a lot of physicians in our community, and I'm not encouraging this new TMI families. Actually, I am. I'm just joking with you. But we get to, the head of school is open to solicited and unsolicited advice. I get a lot of that. And so while I have 3 official medical consultants, I have about 480 consultants who have opinions on how we should be moving forward. Yes, there will be a club fair. We actually call it a club chapel. So if you were asking about clubs, we have a club chapel in which every club on campus gets a little piece, a little 30-second to 1-minute blurb about this is my club, this is what we do, this is who the leadership of that club is. Every club has a faculty sponsor. And we also say that if a student wants to start a club that doesn't exist, any student can start a club. All they have to do is find a faculty member to be their sponsor. So if you're a new student and you ask your advisor, hey advisor, at my old school, we had a whatever club. I'd like to start that club here. Your advisor can help your student find a faculty member to be the sponsor. And then if it's approved, it's off and running. Some of you are very funny with your questions. The velocity of an unladen swallow. I'm going to have to defer to the science department on that one. Will you be requiring flu vaccines? Do we require flu vaccines? That's a great question. I don't think we do. Tracy, do we require flu vaccines? You have to have, in Magnus, you have to have the permission, the form that says why you're not taking it, correct? Can you answer that?
For a flu vaccine, that's a little different. Some of the other vaccines, the cool thing that we have done in the past, though, especially, that's a great question for new parents, is we have had the opportunity to offer flu shots on campus, which well, at least last year, it was the nose of spray that was recommended, and that's what we offered. So I'm hoping and praying we'll be able to do that again this year. So look for that. You'll see it in news and notes, but it is not a requirement strongly encouraged, but not a requirement with the flu vaccine.
Great. Some of you asked about masks. We do have the TMI mask store, although surgical masks are allowed. Can students bring their own surgical masks? Yes, you can. We can also provide those for you. We have a form that you can fill out. Stephanie, do you know where that form is? Tracy, do you know where they tell new families to find the form if they want us to provide surgical masks?
Yeah, actually, I think it was last week, it went out in News and Notes with a link. However, we're also going to place it under the resources tab. It is in on campus. That's always fun to say, in on campus. It will be there. So under resources, we're also going to have it on our website under the COVID tab. So that will be a place where you can find it, as well as a link for the mask store if you'd like to order some of those masks as well.
Thanks. On September 11th, will you set a definite date? Definite date in a COVID world is kind of an oxymoron. I mean, my plan on September 11th is to tell you the plan for September 21st and beyond. That is my plan. And a plan's a plan until it's too late to change it. And so we will stick to that plan unless health officials require us to do something different. But on September, I keep saying September 11th. Is that the Friday? If that's the Friday, then that's great. So September 11th. Okay, then that video update. My plan is to tell you on September 11th what data we've received about how many students would be coming back to campus, what the week of September 21st looks like in terms of the hybrid schedule, and exactly when we're planning for everyone to come back to campus. It could be September 28th. It could be October 5th, but at this point, I would be surprised if it's beyond October 5th in terms of a full return. It could be September 28th, it could be October 5th, but that's where we're tracking, pending how many students will all be on campus. My kids have been wearing fun masks. Are they approved? No is the short answer, because we have 6th through 12th grade students whose version and definition of fun is very different. And so once you open that gate, it gets a little dicey. I don't know if you know this, but we're in an election year. And I don't know if you know this, but people tend to disagree on certain issues. And so we'd like to keep things, we want to talk about issues and we want to have candid conversations, but we want to have healthy conversations. And inviting 12 to 18-year-old students to express themselves in a community via their mask is a slippery slope. I anticipate that we could have some fun mask days, like pre-dress days, etc., but that would have some regulations to it. Wear your favorite. We have traditionally had, spirit dress. Wear your favorite sports shirt. Event days like that. I could see us having some mask days like that, but just a free for all, wear whatever mask you want, is probably not something we're going to open up to.
There was a question there, Scott, that says, can we offer to have our student be in, I think that's instructional remote, if in the first cohort before the hybrid, she really wants to go to school in person.
So if the person who asked that question is willing to unmute themselves and express it, I could probably address it a little better. I'm having a hard time understanding the question. I can't see in the chat, Tracy, who asked that question. So,
sorry, I was the one that asked it.
Oh, hello.
I'm in the middle of work. Let me just try to. I'll be right there. Give me just 1 second. Hi, my apologies, but I'm kind of in the middle of work, in and out.
Oh, I see.
With
I
patients.
see. Yes.
So no, the question was, and because I might have missed, you might have addressed it, and my apologies if you had while I went to see a patient, but our daughter will love to be in a school in person, especially being a new child, like probably many of them might feel. And I understood that there is going, before we go to the hybrid, before that third week of September, there is going to be that time where you have the remote instruction with some few kids inside in the school. Is that correct?
Correct.
So is it possible to offer to be one of those children that go there, or how those kids are selected? I mean, I don't know if you selected them already, or if it's possible to, if a child really wants to be part of that cohort.
Gotcha. I understand the question now. So the week of September the 14th, when we have small groups of students on campus, it will be selected groups, likely starting with our seniors. We want to honor our seniors and allow them to be the leaders on campus. And so having them on campus before everybody else is an example of a small group. We want them to be the trendsetters. We want to teach them how to pass in the halls. We want to teach them what lunch looks like. We want to teach them how to be leaders on campus. So it will likely be, for example, our seniors on one day. It would probably not be, we're looking for 30 students who want to come to campus that week. It will be selected small groups.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Thank you.
You bet. Good luck today, Doc.
I think I'm going, what's that? Thanks. I think I'm going to have to, yeah, thank you. Keep in your prayers. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks.
So as far as some of you have younger children who are looking at TMI for next year, the admissions office is off and running. As I've been sitting here, we've had 2 families come in for a tour. We have a process and procedure for touring TMI right now. Shadow days is another story. We will hold off on shadow days until later in the semester, likely until the spring. But for now, tours with admissions on campus are still happening if you're looking at TMI for next year for a younger child.
Hey, Scott, I'll take that question about, are we doing anything new for the 6th graders? One of the things that I had mentioned was about the library option. And that's going to be next week, which will be on the 9th. They'll be coming to campus. You should have already gotten a email from either Miss Lotta, who is our librarian, or Miss Adams, who is our English teacher for 6th grade, for a sign up to have your kiddos come on campus. We're going to do small groups. We're keeping things small, like Father Scott talked about. So we have about 8 children that'll come to campus at a time, and then they'll be able to peruse the books. It was really cute, all the safety measures that Miss Lotta and Miss Adams put into place, like flipping a book over with a tongue depressor to read it, and then they can throw it in the trash. Anyway, it was really cute. So that'll be the first opportunity for us to have 6th graders on campus, and that's a mix. That's, however they sign up, and then in that small group, they would be able to meet each other. So that's the first step we have to bring our 6th graders back onto campus right now.
So if you're a new family or already enrolled and you've never been on our campus, yes, we'd love to give you a tour of our campus. So just reach out to the admissions office and say, hey, how do I set up a tour of our campus? Speaking of that, one of the reasons we want to start in the cohorts, in the hybrid model, is I have deep love for my new 6th graders. I can't imagine our 6th graders, many of you have 6th graders, who've been remote for 2 weeks, right? They know a handful of people from their remote classes, and then they're going to come to campus for the first time on September 21st and be expected to know where their science class is, where their English class is. I mean, we're not going to just say, welcome to 6th grade, figure it out. We want to bring small groups on campus. When we talk about that week of the 14th, we've talked about having new students on campus as one of those small. We just got to get people used to being on campus, and then we got to help new students figure their way around the campus. We have orientation scheduled as the first time your student will be on campus, will have a heavy dose of orientation and hand-holding from us so that we can help them figure out where their classes are, how to navigate the campus, et cetera, et cetera. So we have plans in place. We will not throw your new child on campus and say good luck.
Scott, here's a question about how many small groups do we have planned right now for our 6th graders. As of today, we have the one plan for the 6th graders to come back onto campus. We're in the process of working on something for every grade, our 7th, 8th, 9th, all of the grades. I had someone propose a plan for our new freshmen to bring them onto campus. So we're working through that. We're just taking it very seriously. I mean, all of you want us to do the same, to make sure that we have everything in place, that we have our children spread out, and that we're safe and healthy so that we can all come back to school. So as of right now, there's just the one for the 6th graders, but there will be more. And like I mentioned earlier, soon as we come back in this hybrid, technically, I guess officially on the 21st, there's going to be a lot more events that are coming. You'll probably send me an email and say, enough, stop. No, I'm just kidding. But there will be a lot more things as we really get into the school year, to have opportunities for the kiddos to come onto campus. You know, here's something, you know, we should do like a 6th grade tour of campus on one of our upcoming Wednesdays. So I love that idea, and we are going to work on making that happen. So stay tuned for that. I think we should also do one for the freshmen. Sorry, any junior or senior parents out there, they can come and join too. I love that idea.
Somebody asked, why can't we start bringing kids onto campus next week? The truth is we could, but we've chosen not to for a variety of reasons. One is our faculty have not all been back to campus yet. Our faculty come back to campus next week. We believe that the crawl, walk, run approach to returning to campus is going to keep us on campus. I've said this a lot, and I'll keep saying it. I want to make sure that when we return to campus, we stay on campus. You're probably seeing in the news how some schools have had outbreaks already, or they returned too quickly, or they opened up the floodgates and said, come on back, we'll figure it out. We have plans in place on how to keep our students safe, how to keep them socially distanced. We got lunch plans. All of that is in the works. But we believe the crawl, walk, run phase will get us further than just starting back right away. Also, we believe that the post-Labor Day bump is worth waiting to get over. So we want to see how the numbers look post-Labor Day. And by coming back to campus the week of the 21st, it's a little bit slower, but I keep thinking about the tortoise and the hare. We're going to slow and steady, and I truly believe that our approach will keep us on campus, but once we return to campus. Yeah, so you're asking the very question I wonder, we're working on. My daughter's worried about how I will navigate. Mrs. Carter alluded to a 6th grade tour of campus. We've got a couple of Wednesdays left before school starts. We'll work today. Ms. Carter and I will commit to working today on putting together a tour of campus for 6th grade students and maybe for 9th grade students before school starts. But as I said, when we return to campus, the first day that your child is back on campus, we'll have a heavy dose of orientation built into it so that they can navigate. This is what we would have done on the Thursday and Friday of convocation week in a normal year on campus, but we will have orientation on campus as soon as your child gets to campus.
And Scott, I was going to add to that, you know, the first day of school is always so exciting, and it's hilarious because, you know, kids are running this way and they're like, where is this room and where is that room? So there will be plenty of us in the hallways to help them find. It's a great joy to see them on that very first day and help them find their classroom, because there's always a connection that you make. And then, you know, the next day you see them in the hallways and you're like, do you know where to go for English, or do you know where to go to math? So there will be plenty of us in the hallways that will help your child. If they don't get enough on that Wednesday, we'll be here and ready to help them when they are back on campus.
Also, all of our faculty will be back on campus starting the week of the 14th. So if we're in the hybrid, when we're in the hybrid schedule, we'll only have half of our students here any given day at the most, but we'll have all of our faculty. So we'll have the ratio of faculty to students on campus for that first week will be in your child's favor. So lots of folks in the halls, happy to help, more adult supervision and help than we have students than we normally would have, because we'll only have half the students and all the faculty and staff. All right, I just want to, again, reach out to me at any point, or Tracy or anyone. We want to make sure that you're not, as I say, suffering in silence. I see a question about the book for, we can have our 6th grader go next Wednesday to check out a book for English. Yes, correct. That's correct. Next Wednesday is the sign up for the middle school, the 6th grade library checkout. Yes. And if for get you a chance to be on campus.
I'm sorry, Scott, I didn't mean to cut you off. If for some reason you didn't see that email, if y'all could shoot me an email, or you could put it in the chat right now, just tell me your name and I'll make sure, you know, again, technology is a wonderful thing when it works, right? So I just want to make sure that you did have that opportunity to sign up. We have enough spots for every 6th grade student who wants to sign up and come for the library book. So either put your email in the chat, or you can email me directly, t.carter, that's T as in Tracy, .carter, and I'll make sure, I'll double check, but I'll make sure that we send you that email with the link.
Great. In closing, I just want to reiterate what I was saying about our crawl, walk, run approach to this return to campus. There's a phenomenon out there I call the Pinterest effect. You're able to look and see what other schools are doing and then say, well, why isn't my school doing this, that, or the other? You probably have children in other schools, neighbors who go to other schools, you're coming from other schools. So every school is doing something a little bit differently. Everybody is doing something differently. I talk to independent ISAS and SAES, that's Episcopal and Independent School Heads in San Antonio, every week. I can tell you exactly what Keystone is doing, St. Mary's Hall, San Antonio Academy, St. George, St. Luke's, San Antonio Montessori, St. Paul Montessori. I can tell you exactly what those schools are doing because I talk to their heads every single week. We get along well, we collaborate together, and everybody is working together. And so, so if you hear something, read something, believe something that they're doing, just know that they're doing the best that they can, and we're doing the best we can, and student safety, family safety, teacher safety, community safety, your safety is a priority for us. We truly believe the crawl, walk, run approach will feel slower at first, but maintain the stamina and get us across the finish line together on campus. That is the goal. I'll close with a prayer because I froze up in my opening prayer. And just want to say for the record that I didn't get stage fright and freeze up. I just froze on my phone. So I will pray for us as we go our separate ways. And I want to thank you again for the trust that you put in TMI. I have 2 sons at TMI and a daughter at St. George. I know the sacrifice you make to put your child in an independent school. We honor that. As I say often, you have entrusted us with the greatest gift God has ever given you, and that is your son and daughter. And for that, we are truly grateful, and we take that responsibility very seriously and are humbled that you trust us, and we will deliver on our promise. That I can tell you. Let's pray. Good and gracious God, thank you for the gift of today. Thank you for opportunities to connect. Thank you for opportunities to be a community, even if it's virtually. Lord, in the midst of diversity of opinions and lots of information coming our way, root us in the truth, Lord, that you are good. And in the end, all will be well. Lord, thank you for the trust that our families place in us. We ask your blessing upon our teachers and our families and our students, especially, Lord, our new students as they transition to a new community, finding their way in a virtual world, Lord, and ultimately on this campus. Give them courage, joy, love as they navigate this new chapter in their life. Thank you again for our new families, for the trust they have in us, and give us, TMI, the courage to continue to lead, to raise up servant leaders that glorify you and bring honor to your name. In your son's name we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate you giving us some time this morning, and I look forward to connecting with you all and seeing you on campus very soon. Have a great day.